Okay, here we are at the belt sander. This is my new little 1x30 Delta. I picked this puppy up off of Craigslist. I've been looking around for, you can get them new at Harbor Freight for 39 bucks. And even though this was made in, I think, Taiwan, it's a little quarter horsepower Delta. And Delta's a pretty good name. And for 30 bucks, what do you expect, you know? I'll probably spend that more on belts next year. So I've already started rounding off the back. What I wanted to explain is, before I take these apart, I started thinking about it. Okay, let's get going on the actual work here. You can still see clearly the tape, and it's real white against the black. It's pretty good. And what I've started to do is knock the corner off, the sharp corner off, down to that line. And before I separate them, I want to do that. And the reason is if I take too much off, I'm taking too much off both sides, they'll still match. So I'm going to go ahead and radius this pair of scales while they're together. I did do a little bit of work on the nose here, and got a little closer to fitting the bolster. If not too close on one side, it was kind of scary looking. I don't know. We'll find out later if I sanded off too much on top. But I was trying to get a nice smooth line all the way down. If you got a nice arc going here and on the inside, it's going to save you a lot of work later on, because if you have a divot in there and you get the radius done, then you go to take the divot out, and then you got to match the radius, and then that's how you wind up with a bunch of waves and crooked stuff. So from the beginning, you pretty much want to keep your lines nice and smooth and straight. Anything you leave behind, you're going to have to make up for later, and it's really not worth it to leave it behind. You're just creating more work for yourself later on. So I'm going to flip this little bad boy on. It's not really as loud as the other one. I did do a video on the other one, and you couldn't hear yourself think. The other one I have is a 2" by 42" Craftsman, 1 horsepower, sitting on the bench over there. And the thing I like about that is, and I have gotten used to, is it has a bigger platen. Of course, the space is twice as much, but also the slack part of the belt here I use quite a bit, especially on the inside, because you can't, do that on a flat platen. So you basically have to do it up here. And I'll show you, it's not that hard. When you push it up against, the belt gives. But you always want to keep moving. Do as long the strokes as you can. You might see me do some short ones. That's because if I look at it and see, well, I went past this spot a little bit fast. I'm not using a lot of pressure. Sometimes I'm using a lot of pressure. It's basically dive in at your own risk. This is a 120 belt on here. For this, and this small of a grinder, I probably should have started off with something finer, if they even make anything finer. I certainly wouldn't go with anything heavier unless I was shaping metal of some sort. You'll see this stuff disappears pretty quick. Probably not as quick as wood. I would definitely want something either a little slower or a lot finer grit on a belt if I was working wood. And then again, that all depends on the wood, I guess. I'm not that big on exotics. I don't know that. I haven't played with them enough to know anything about that. So here we go. I'm going to flip it on, let you watch for a while. It's pretty much a boring endeavor, but I'll try and show as many techniques on the belt as I can in as short a time as I can. And then we'll shut this off and try and make a short video because of the noise. And the other thing, if I start getting too much dust buildup, I'm going to flip on the shop vac, so then it's really going to get noisy. So, here we go. Okay, you can see what I got going on here now, hopefully. Got a little bit of an arc there in the back. I'm going to check that now against the brass. I don't see any major faux pas right now. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of a sharp radius here on the edge, a little more flattened out here. Now see, this is what I would call as far as I'm going with this baby, because I can put some 220 grit and grab my little toys like this and start going to town on doing some real hand shaping here. Sure scratched the heck out of that acrylic, didn't we? But you see how I started here and worked my way over. When I start going this way now with the sandpaper, until all these scratches are gone, it'll take out a lot of these edges. You can go at an angle, whatever works for you. I always like to sand a different direction. When I got this going at 120 on this, those are big deep scratches. When I come back over it with the say 320 will be the next step here. Probably I might go 220, and I start going this way and sand until I get all those scratches out. Then you'll start to see the smoothness of it more, and wherever you have little bumps and stuff, I've pretty much kept my line. Can't see on that side as well, but you know, I've still got my smooth line here. I'm still pretty smooth here. I got a little hump, you know, but I can take that out. This is the other thing too. See, like I was saying, now I've got these matching radius to the edge and matching. You know, I'll spend some time looking at it. It looks a little pointed still right here. I might knock that off after I shut the camera off. This is really good in here. See how I have the trace patterns and how I went to the center last, because you don't want to really take any thickness out of it. This is 1/8 inch material. I don't really take that much thickness out of it unless it comes out by hand. If you do it with this, you might wind up with a 1/16 gone in a heartbeat. So like I said, this is basically a quick rough shaping, and as far as this side goes, it's time to start going by hand. I will admit I might come back and pop the 45 on that, just to get this started. Let's see what we got here. Okay, yeah, it's still high on the sides, and you can see because it's off here, so we're good. To me, it goes a lot faster to do it by hand now here. If I knock that 45 off a little bit, it might sit down in there, but even when I pull it back, like I told you before, okay, the Reaper sits on there great. Cool, we got that part. He's going to radius out a little bit more up here when he gets up here. Alright, so really all I have to do is work this little section here to get this to work. So it's basically the same radius from here to here. So if I get that going, that'll be the second dimension I have knocked down. Then when I get to this part here, I'll have to start rounding this corner off from this radius to the 45 on that radius. It's just a little round over thing. I usually leave the corners for last. You know, you can look at it from all different angles and try and figure out. You're basically sculpting, okay? You want to make this match this. So you look at what you got, look where you need to go. You know, you can look at the outside of this, it's pretty much the same on the inside, right? So if you hold it up like that, you can say, okay, so I got to knock it off, you know, that much. And just sand a little until it fits in there. I doubt that I'll do a video on hand sanding, because you probably all know how to do that. It's the same thing as this, only a lot slower. And so I think the next will be, I don't know if you guys are really interested, I might show you how it fits on there and how I practice it fitting on there, or what I have to do to actually get it just before I glue it. There's a lot of work here yet, but we'll go over. If I run into any problems that I can show you how to get around, I will. But like Glenn says, you don't want any spring to this whatsoever. You want it to sit right down on there, and this edge, the it'll tell you how far you have to go, because this edge right here has to sit right there at the white line. So we got quite a bit of sanding to do, most of it on the radius, because once again we don't want to take the thickness out. So all the work's going to be right here and right there by hand. Not really that much, huh? Alright, the video is done, and we'll see you guys the next time.